Mumbai. Although my parents were from Tamil Nadu, my father came for his own job, and I grew up in Chembur, Mumbai. And for me, going when I went to the school, the most, I would say the influence was from my teacher, one sir who used to teach Sanskrit actually, but he was so knowledgeable. He will teach physics, chemistry, connect between the math and physics and chemistry. So I was always, wide open eye. I used to wait for the free periods or lunchtime when he used to give some knowledge like this. I would say that was the first point when I was just fifth standard or sixth standard, when one doesn't know what chemistry is or what one should take. But I was really awed by his knowledge of not just a language, but how he connected various sciences, and how well he used to tell the whole world is dependent on science. So that is when I decided I'm going to do science. And then some of the teachers were good, but usually it used to be boring. But this, kindling of that fire, which my sir, Mani sir, I used to call, he did. Um, I used to visit him even after all school and college. I used to be really a great, like a guru, I would say. I used to be admiring him, and he was the one who kindled that interest. But then when I when after finishing the school, when it was time to take, in my family, nobody had taken science. Everybody was in some other field. So it was a new thing, but my parents were very supportive. Although some people said, no, why do you want to make her study, etc. I'm talking about now, let's say, more than 50 years ago. 1972, I passed out the school. So at that time, there were a lot of, why science? It is so much tough. I said, no, I want to do. I have to do, and then that is how it started. So I would say the start was the kindled by my school teacher, and in the college, I had a few teachers who used to be really brilliant, but that was just, like, okay, grooming. I did not know even at that time that I will be taking atomic energy as my profession. All my idea was I should get a job, because I know I'm coming from a middle class family. I have to earn, I have to help my parents. That was and I thought chemistry was the one which will give you a job. That was the reason I took chemistry, not because of only chemistry. I used to like the whole science, physics, chemistry, math, particularly math, how they are connected. When we say STEM nowadays, the STEM subjects are actually seamlessly connected. I love that connection, and I used to like it even then. And then I took chemistry because of the notion that chemistry gives you a job. I used to ask people, okay, of course, as I said, in my family, there was nobody from, uh, you know, there was nobody who was in chemistry or even science. But I used to talk to people who were my teachers and ask them, so which is the one which has most prospect for getting? So people from physics and math used to say, you can join a college as a lecturer and all. I was not interested in that. Although I liked teaching late, I liked it later, but at that time, that was not what I wanted to do. But research was not in my thoughts. Research was too big, because I used to hear about big names of researchers and all. But I think there is a wee bit of, I don't know whether to call it luck or whatever, but that passion was always there. I wanted to do something, and I used to go here and there, listen to talks, whatever it is, make notes, and so that is why people said chemistry, if you take, you will get a job in a, pharmacist, or in some. There are so many chemical companies in Mumbai. You can get somewhere. That was idea, but things were so different later. There were, I would say, our class had 150 students. 150 students in the classroom, out of which maybe 30 were women. That was it. That was it for. And then in math and physics, I know it was even worse. It used to be two or three girls and 20 boys or something like that. So the proportion was less than 20% most of the time. Chemistry was the best, or maybe biology had a slightly more number of women. One thing also my sir taught is knowledge is power. Once you know something, that gives you a lot of strength to stand on your own and to defend if somebody is going to intimidate also. So even though there were so many boys, and I used to be always in the front bench, because that backside there used to be noise. 150 student for a teacher to manage is not easy at all. I know that very well. But it was initially, it used to be like they don't care. Most people don't bother. It was not, I was, must have been a non-entity for most people. But when with the time, when you interact with the teachers showed interest. Teachers like people who ask questions, who want to do something, etc. So I saw that within 2 3 years, things were good with respect to the learning part, or at least interaction with the people who teach in the laboratories or teach in the classes, etc. And I didn't bother that other people who were there. Most of them, perhaps they, I do not know, I don't even know now how many of them are really pursuing anything to do with chemistry. But it did not bother me. I was not bothered, because it was like I have to get marks, I have to do well so that I get some nice future path. That time I didn't even think of doing a master's and PhD and all. That was a big dream. I did not dream that. I only knew that what I do, I have to do it well, and that's what my sir has said, and I should learn as much as possible. So, but when I applied for jobs, I applied for quite some jobs as soon as I finished my exam, even before the results came. And one of it was something called a training school in the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. That was because we were staying in Chembur, and there was a Bhabha Atomic Research Center colony there, where there were some scientists whom my father knew. So that was one rubbing, some influence, I would say, because he used to say, that person, he is a officer and he is doing this. So I used to go with a big open eye and awe. Oh, they are working with atoms and atom bombs like that. And that was, sort of, okay, let me apply, no harm. So when I went for the interview, I cannot forget that day, what I wore, who were there in the interview, what questions were asked. But that was something really big, what to say, something very impactful in my life, my professional life. So I think I answer because of my conviction that how you should understand a subject, not just go on mugging and learning, but what is said in the book. You go down to why, how kind of thing. So when the questions were asked and I answered without a problem, I think I really made a mark and I was selected. And then it was no turning back, because I would say my second great influence was Dr. Bhabha. He had already died by then. By the time I joined Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Dr. Bhabha was no more. But the way he had imagined, the way he had built India's atomic energy program was so, what to say, magnificent, I would say. Something which not anybody else could have done. It was just because of him, Bhabha Atomic Research Center was such a big institute, and that is why I think I became a scientist with that passion, with that drive, and with whatever I have, could do, is because of Dr. Bhabha's vision of how India should be in atomic energy. Because I cannot forget that phase of my life soon after my graduation, joining that so-called training school. Every Monday we used to have exam, and it used to be really tough exams. And so over that 1 year, the amount of knowledge we have gathered from at least 100 people lecturing, 100 great scientists, very good in their subject. So I think my absorption and my growth into this field was really exponential during that time. And that is what I would say has influenced not individual alone, but the whole situation, the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, the concept of having a person trained in multiple areas. So, although I was in chemistry, I learned so much about physics, everything about atomic physics, nuclear physics, how whatever I later did. So I think that is what shaped my profession later. The amount of learning you do, and that awe that it comes with that atomic science, that showed that okay, there is so much to do. There is so much I can do a wee bit. There are so many great people, but if I get a chance, that will be so nice. That was my feeling, and I was very fortunate to have had very nice bosses, I would say. I wouldn't say they were mentors in the sense they did not have, they didn't talk much science and really pushed my path. But they were kind people. They were supportive when I went with some idea, and they were supportive to take my case for promotions and promoting me to get trained elsewhere, etc. So I think that is also important in particularly for a woman. A woman may be very good, but if she doesn't have a good boss who is willing to, you know, take the case and support, and also give training, push the person to say, no, no, Meera, you can do it, don't worry, go and give the talk. First time, I didn't know, no sir, money, I don't know if I can give. He said, no, 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 you can give, don't worry, we are all there. So that kind of a pat in the back, that is needed, I would say, for every person it is needed, not just women, but more for a woman, because we are usually underestimating our capabilities. And at that time, if somebody is waiting and undermining, that can be bad. Sure, sure. See, anybody who is doing or studying nuclear or radiation cannot but study about Marie Curie also. She was a two-time Nobel Prize winner and from chemistry, and I used to also like reading the lives of those people. Like, they may not be Nobel Prize winner. For one is, Marie Curie was a Nobel Prize winner, and her life is very, very inspiring. But there were also people like George Gamow. He was a physicist. He never won a Nobel Prize, but he was very intelligent. The way he used to write about physics, how a neutrino is, like a space. I mean, to make physics light and easy to understand. So because of that, the feeling that, oh, this world, I must enter that world, kind of. I should know more and more about it. It is so amazing. These atoms, which are so small, they are going to be turning our lives, whether it is from sun or whatever. So that kind of that awe and passion was always there because of these kind of readings and listening. But Marie Curie had another influence because she worked with radiation. She also got cancer, but then she also used radiation for treating in X-rays, etc. So that, and then I knew, because, as I said, in the multidisciplinary studies, one of the aspect was use of radiation for healthcare. So I used to be feeling, oh, if I'm doing that, it will be very nice, because if I'm doing pure science, it is very satisfying, but it is like one to one. It is like a introspecting person, or like introvert, just me and myself, my science. I'm happy with what I'm doing, kind. But this kind of applied science, you have to go and talk to others. There is somebody else who have to use what you do. So I used to like going to the medical colleges, talking to the doctors, and especially when the doctors ask us how it is to be done and give us respect. That was, I think, that kind of it was like satisfying some not ego, but a feeling that yes, wherever there is knowledge, everybody respects each other. Otherwise, it used to be doctors means they are gods and they are the top, kind of. At least those days it used to be like that, and many doctors used to behave also like that. But when you are developing something for the medical science, the way they interact, the way they are willing to give more knowledge, where they are willing to support, is very different. So that was the one which sort of goaded me further. But the first decision that I will go into something which is related to application of radiation for healthcare, was taken just when I was finishing my 1 year training at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So it is not that everybody gets to choose what they want, then it will be a mayhem. Everybody has to get marks. Of course, every week we had tests, and whoever comes first gets to choose from whatever is opportunity. But there I had a friend, not my father had a friend who advised my father, ask Meera to take this isotope and radiopharmaceutical. That is very interesting. Somebody else advised me, no, 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 don't go there. You won't get good promotions. There, people go only with the last rank. Why you want to go? You have got second rank. But I toyed with the idea. I thought it doesn't really matter. That sounds very interesting. That is what I want to do. I want to meet people. I want to my work to make a difference to some patients. It's okay, it may not be a huge, it may not be life saving, but doesn't matter. If somebody is going to feel better, that makes me, you know something really nice at the end of the day, kind of. So that's how I decided to go for radiopharmaceutical isotopes and all. And as I said, it involved going to the hospitals, talking to the doctors, working with them, understanding biology, understanding their problems. So it was a very nice journey. I would say it was really, really satisfying journey. Yeah, I think I'm most happy that I could bring new products into the market. It is not that I invented them. I wouldn't say it was there in the West. There were people were talking about it. Here it was possible, but I think by that time I had become a group leader, section head, and then the division head also. That goading to bring people together. I used to like to inspire them to say, look at it from a societal angle. What you're doing is helping somebody. It is not enough just that you get a promotion, you get this money, you go abroad, you get PhD degree. That is one thing, that's satisfying, yes. But beyond that, you look at how much you will feel good by that your work is being used for somebody's good health, somebody's betterment. Just that inspiration. I don't know how many really got inspired, but I think so many were willing to, because there was no argument against that. They have to agree. That is very true, and that is something very compelling. And I had brought several molecules into the market with the help of my colleagues and with the help of the doctors to take it through the process of regulatory requirements, etc. And so many of them are now regular products from Bhabha Atomic Research Center and BRIT, what is a Board of Radiation and Isotope Technology. So I think I'm proud that I was one of the people who brought more products and enthused youngsters to also develop new products and give it to the society. One of the challenge was also from colleagues who can be undermining and wanting, little bit of jealousy and all. But that, I'm not sure if I really managed it very well. But I used to not make it. I was never a confrontational person, so it was never escalated to make it into some big fight, etc. So I used to be patient and try to be as fair as possible, and I think it was helpful. The other, that was from the professional side, the challenges. So this kind of slight undermining and giving slight troubles, but it was not continuous. True. Prime, see, it was always encouragement from the top. My bosses, actually, even at that time, that gender parity and all had started to come. So the bosses were also happy to promote. Oh, I have a nice young bright, I will send her for the conference. I'll send her, that kind of a thing. I had good support from my bosses. But there are always challenges from the peers, because it was not always liked and it was always a competition. But I think being just sincere and doing one's own job, not being complicated, helps in such things, because I wasn't too much bothered about that local politics. I never went and complained about anybody. And so I think that way, initial stages, although looking back, now I know that many people take it into a big this one. At that time, I think I somehow managed it by soft skills. I would say by being understanding and also being friendly, and so it became a much better workplace for me. And I was just lucky to have that way. But challenges to manage personal and professional life, I think many people do have. Even now, it will continue. Bringing up children, having old parents or parents-in-law who need attention, it's not very easy in a lab job, because you will have to stand for 8 hours there. Then, if you have to be patient enough to do things at home, it doesn't come without much of what to say. One is support. Family support is certainly needed, but it is also one's mind. I think one has to be that passion has to overcome the difficulty. You have to say, yes, I will somehow manage this. Grit, just move on, kind of thing. That helps a lot. And definitely family support is something which is, I would say, for every woman who is aspiring to have a good supporting family. I mean, it's not that you make one supporting family, it's also individuals. They have to be supporting, but it is also our attitude. Like, the if we are, suppose if it is, like, say, my mother-in-law, if I am compassionate and say, okay, if she's not well, taking her to the doctor, being really caring, brings the compassion from the other person also. I mean, that's what I have found. Although this is not about how a person should behave, but I think you can never separate individuals' personality from professional, what to say, professional way of living, or how you manage your profession with EQ, what they say, emotional quotient, etc., with the colleagues, how you win over. Because I found that very useful when I went to the International Atomic Energy Agency. The way the people were waiting to put accusations on others and saying this one is harassing, I was amazed. Like, one word and somebody saying this one is harassing. I used to counsel so many people just to say, why do you unnecessarily make things big? Just think, if you are really good, you should not be feeling this way. So there is a lot of soft skill needed as one becomes a leader. And I think in the world, one has to be broad minded, passionate about their work if they have to be successful as well as happy. See, success alone by terms of position, amount of money, and all those, or number of papers, is not equal to the satisfaction, the contentment a person can feel. That's what I feel. Because you have to feel that, yes, this is all what I earned, and I have earned it in the right, nice way. I have not cheated people, or I have not hurt anybody on the way. That feeling is a good feeling at the end. I feel at my age now, after retiring, I feel that is something very very satisfying. So I would say that the challenges, yes, but you have to continuously watch. One thing is there, just because we are nice, there are also people ready to take advantage. That the women have to be always alert. Is somebody trying to undermine? Is somebody trying to take my achievement as their own? Then one has to stand up and say, put that there. So I think it's a big balancing of many things, consciously being kind and professional, at the same time not to be unmindful of somebody's belittling. So another challenge which I found when I was in the International Atomic Energy Agency is there are several people from other countries. Men scientists think that, oh, okay, women scientists are there. Oh, she just got the job because she was a woman, and maybe she doesn't. Some very silly jokes and all. I never used to allow that. I used to immediately stand and put them in the place. So I think I was very happy about that. I'm a minority compared to the whites in those places, but I never waited I mean, I never allowed people to make fun. I immediately gave it back and put them in their place. So I think that's also needed. So the challenges come in multiple ways, one has to be alert, and also to be um, sure of what one is doing. Mentorship is also very important. Unfortunately, I didn't have a so-called really a good mentor. I can at the most say, as I said, they were kind and they were, but I never had a person with whom I can go and discuss my results and tell about my plans, and somebody who will say, okay, you take this now, do this now, kind of that kind of a thing. Did not have. I did mentor a few people when I was in the AA, as well as later people whoever asked. And when I used to be working at Bhabha Atomic Research Center, I had several students who did PhD under me. I would consider to some extent I was like a mentor to them, because even people from other fields, not necessarily radiopharmaceuticals, but something to do with chemistry and radioactivity, etc., who were my students. I used to also mentor them with respect to what could be their next future way of working, what will be useful, that one, and also about ethics in science, because that is another thing I'm finding it very disturbing. Youngsters want to just take a Google search, take some passages from here and there and write their thesis. So whenever my students come with something, I check in the Google, and if it is passages, then I will give them my mind and I will tell them that this is not going to be good. You have to be doing it. You read that, but you do put it in your own words. So I think I haven't done. I wouldn't say I have done a very thorough mentorship, because that kind of an opportunity was not there. But I have mentored a few people. I'm willing to mentor if somebody comes even now, because even now through the LinkedIn and all, people ask some small things. It's not. It's just help. I wouldn't say it's great mentorship, but guiding them what would be the possibilities, where they can go and apply, things like that, I do. It is very important. I would say it is very important. Sponsorship is also important, because looking back, when you had said what was the in the professional journey, some anecdotes kind of thing. I remember that I joined Atomic Energy. I finished my bachelor's in 76. Up to 76 to 77 was 1 year grueling training. 77 I joined as a young scientist. In 79 I was sent abroad for some training. So that was a little, that was only because my boss was very confident that I can absorb, I will be a correct candidate. So over there, that really opened my eyes. That is when I felt knowledge being power, because I was very timid, and I was the one from one of the third nation country kind of thing at that time, and people were bombastic. Whoever had come, other 24 other trainees were there. But when it came to the subject, and when it came to explaining and understanding, I found that I was far above them. That immediately gave me so much of what is that satisfaction about our training and our way of grooming. That kind of exposure is needed for people at a young age to have that confidence and also to build. But I also learned a lot of things from the people from abroad, the way they manage their time, the way they are serious about what they do, the way they explain chemistry or whatever. So it was a very, very satisfying experience. I hope we younger people get such chances to see outside. However much you tell is not equal to what they go out and see from the other people in the world. That kind of exposure, I think, is a good thing at a young age. That makes um, uh, a person also what to say. Uh, if they think they are some big thing, that puts them humble, make them humble on one hand, but at the same time, if they have some good capabilities, brings them out. So both ways it is helpful. I would say passion. We have to be passionate about what we do. Otherwise, it will be a really very, very difficult life daily, whatever we do. That particularly in what to say in the profession. So passion and sincerity go together. Okay, we may be passionate, but then we have to also be sincere in what we are doing. So I think that was my mantra. Just do what you feel is the best. Be passionate, be sincere, and also never forget that knowledge is power. That knowledge, or the strength what you have, your core characteristic also. It doesn't have to be only knowledge. This I speak from in the BRC time. It was more like managing 100 people to do something routine and bringing them when they fight together, how to resolve fights, etc. But at the IAEA, it was a very different experience, and I found that this passion, sincerity, and doing things for everybody's good really helped me to build very good relationship, to solve problems, to earn a good name. I believe even later, much later, one of my friends, they said, Meena, you are being missed here. This has never happened here. Everybody is forgotten as soon as they go. So I felt very good about it, because it is not that I am some great thing or anything, but our own culture and our thinking that yes, you should be passionate and sincere does pay in the long run. That's what I feel. So even if it is science or whatever it is, when we do things with passion, it is it's something very good.